Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, we'll start in 2 minutes. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome all of you for today's Srimad Bhagavatam session. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naran Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 7, The Son of Drona Punished. So we are starting a new chapter today, that is Chapter 7, The Son of Drona Punished. Text 1. Shaunaka Uvacha Nirgate Narade Suta Bhagavan Badarayanaha Shrutavamstadabhipretam Tatah Kim Akarod Vibhuhu. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru, His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Rishi Shaunaka asked, O Suta, the great and transcendental powerful Vyasadeva heard everything from Sri Narad Muni. So after Narada's departure, what did Vyasadeva do? Purport. In this chapter, the clue for describing Srimad Bhagavatam is picked up as Maharaj Parikshit is miraculously saved in the womb of his mother. This was caused by Drauni or Ashwathama, Acharya Drona's son, who killed the 5 sons of Draupadi while they were asleep, for which he was punished by Arjuna. Before commencing the great epic Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Vyasadeva realized the whole truth by trance in devotion. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So, in the previous 2 chapters, we have discussed about the conversation between Narad Muni and Srila Vyasadeva. And now, after Narad Muni's departure, what happened is the question asked here by the sages of Naimisharanya, represented by Shaunaka Rishi. He is putting forward this question to Suta Goswami, who is speaking the Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimisharanya. So the verse is Nirgate Narade Suta. Suta, O Suta Goswami. Nirgate, Nirgataha means having gone, having left the place. Nirgataha, Nirgate. Narade, Narad Muni. So Narad Muni, after instructing Vyasadeva, he left the place. Bhagavan Badarayanaha Shrutavan. Shrutavan means who heard the entire thing from Narad Muni. That is Bhagavan Badarayanaha. Badarayana is a name of Vyasadeva, and Bhagavan, he is called as Bhagavan. Bhagavan here, Prabhupada translates it as the transcendently powerful. Previously, also, Vyasadeva has been addressed as Bhagavan, and we had discussed that since he is an empowered incarnation of the Lord, he is addressed in that way, Bhagavan. Shrutavan. So he heard everything from his spiritual master, Narad Muni. Tat abhipretam. Abhipretam means desire of the mind. Narad Muni disclosed the desire of his mind to Vyasadeva. He said that you must write Srimad Bhagavatam. So this was heard by Vyasadeva. Tata kim akarod vibhuhu. Vibhuhu. Vibhu means the great. That is referred to Vyasadeva. So the great sage Vyasadeva, who is transcendently powerful, he heard the mind of Narad Muni. He heard the desire of Narad Muni. So after Narad Muni departed, Tata Kim Akarod. Akarod means what did he do? Tata Kim. Thereafter, what did Vyasadeva do? That is a question asked by Shaunaka Rishi. In the previous chapter, in the beginning of the previous chapter also, Vyasadeva asked a similar question to Narad Muni. Narad Muni had told that I got initiated from the Bhakti Vedantas, and after hearing that, Vyasadeva asked, after you got initiated from the Bhakti Vedantas, after you got the transcendental knowledge, you started the process of devotional service. What actually happened after that? What did you do? It's a very important question. What did you do? That's very important. Coming in touch with a pure devotee, spiritual master, is the real turning point in one's life. But after receiving this divine association, and after receiving clarity about the purpose of life, after receiving instructions from the spiritual master about how to execute devotional service, what a disciple does is very important. Just like after hearing Bhagavad Gita, what did Arjuna do? And what did Dhritarashtra do? Both heard the Bhagavad Gita. So both got the opportunity to hear the divine instructions of the Supreme Lord. But Arjuna said, Karishye vachanam tava. I shall act according to your instruction. So even though initially he was hesitant for material reasons, he was hesitant to fight against his kinsmen, after he understood the intention of the Lord, after he understood what is the Lord's plan, Lord's desire, what was the Lord's mind, Arjuna gave up all his material attachments and he executed the will of the Lord. That is why Arjuna is glorious. Being a good student doesn't mean you simply hear the instruction of the spiritual master and simply nod your head, but you must actually act upon those instructions. That is important. Simply hearing, of course, hearing itself is very purifying. Hearing itself is elevating, it is liberating. It brings us to the transcendental platform. But after hearing, you need to apply them in your daily life. That is very important. Otherwise, Dhritarashtra also heard Bhagavad Gita from Krishna through Sanjaya. But Dhritarashtra was not in a mood of acting upon the instructions of Lord Krishna because he was still maintaining material attachments. He was still maintaining material conceptions, even though he heard the same instructions that Arjuna heard. So, therefore, the example is given in the scriptures. The Lord's mercy is available for everybody, just like rain. Rain, the clouds pour water, rainwater, on different types of terrains. Hmm? The clouds pour water on the desert, the clouds pour water on the rocks, the clouds pour water on the oceans, the clouds also pour water on the fertile land. But it is only the fertile land which can make the best use of that water, whereas all other terrains, all other uh, entities, they are not able to make the best use of the water. Similarly, our heart must be fertile, like fertile soil, so that we receive the instructions of the spiritual master and execute those instructions diligently. So, receiving the instructions is definitely important, and equally important is to diligently carry out those instructions. That is why in the previous chapter also Vyasadeva asked Narad Muni, after you received those instructions from your spiritual masters, what did you do? And in this chapter also in the very beginning, Shaunaka Rishi is asking, after Vyasadeva received those instructions from Narad Muni, what did he do? Kim akarot, tata kim akarot. What did he do after that? So it's a very important point. Hmm? Executing the instructions or the orders of the spiritual master. So we sing the Guru Vandana prayers every day, and we say, my only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. So, when the spiritual master is speaking, the disciple has to very, very carefully hear the instructions with the intention that I have to act upon these instructions. It is not simply some information download. When Prabhupada is speaking something, it is not just for our information, it is for our action. It is for us to apply ourselves to those instructions. We may not be able to 100% execute those instructions because of our own shortcomings, but we should definitely uh, try our best to execute the instructions of the spiritual master. The instructions of the spiritual master should be the life and soul of the disciple. So it is not simply information, it is for our action. In Sanskrit, there are three words: Sandesha, Upadesha, Adesha. Sandesha means message. Suppose you receive a WhatsApp message from somebody. That's a Sandesha. You got some information. You may act upon it, you may not act upon it. It's Sandesha, just for your information. Then Upadesha. Upadesha means instruction. The spiritual master gives instruction to the disciple because the spiritual master is wanting to do the best for his disciple. So he gives instruction. And the instructions have to be taken very seriously by the disciple. So that is Upadesha. Adesha means order. Order means there is no scope of not following it. It is binding in nature. That is Adesha. Like Srila Prabhupada says, anybody who is interested in making advancement in spiritual life, in Krishna consciousness, should chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra every day and follow the four regulative principles. Now, this is Adesha. It is not optional, it is binding upon the disciple to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. Otherwise, one should not call oneself a disciple. Oh, I am disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Oh, what does it mean? It means that whatever Srila Prabhupada is saying, I will take it with utmost seriousness and I will apply it in my daily life. That is why Srila Prabhupada used to say, you should not think that having a guru is some fashion. Oh, I also have a guru. It's not a matter of fashion. It's not some trending thing. Having a guru means surrendering oneself to his instructions. That is the meaning of the word shishya. The word shishya in Sanskrit comes from the root dhatu, verb called as shas dhatu. Shas means control. It is from the same word, uh, from same shas dhatu comes shastra, weapon which is used for physically controlling the other party. Or the same dhatu produces another word called shastra. Shastra means instructions of the scriptures, the scriptural instructions. They are also meant to control, bring about regulation in the lives of conditioned souls. So, Shastra, Shastra, Shishya, all of them come from the same root word, Shas, means to come under the control of. So, when I say I'm a Shishya, I'm a disciple of my Guru, of Srila Prabhupada, it means I'm voluntarily agreeing to follow the instructions of my spiritual master. I am agreeing to be controlled by the words and instructions of my spiritual master. That is the meaning of becoming a shishya. It is not. It is not uh, some ritual, or it is not some fun. Oh, I also have one guru. Who is your guru? Oh, Srila Prabhupada is my guru. When you say that Srila Prabhupada is my guru, it means that you are leading a life, every aspect of your life is governed by the instructions given by Srila Prabhupada. That is the meaning. So it's a very, very strong commitment. So if we are committed to the instructions of the spiritual master also becomes committed to take us back home, back to Godhead. So it's a mutual agreement. It's a mutual commitment between the disciple and the spiritual master. It's not an ordinary thing, it's a very, very serious commitment. So the spiritual master gives all the three types of, he speaks all the three types of words. He brings, he gives us Sandesha, message of Godhead, he gives Sandesha. He also gives us Upadesha, he gives us many instructions. He reveals to us confidential things about uh, Krishna consciousness, and also uh, he gives Adesha, certain important instructions to be followed, mandatory instructions. Prabhupada once, in one place, Prabhupada writes in one of the purports, among all the instructions that I have given, the most important instructions are these two. chant minimum 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day, and follow the four regulative principles. That is the meaning. So Prabhupada says these two are the most important adesha, orders of the spiritual master. In another purport, Prabhupada writes, the disciple should dedicate himself to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, making it his life and soul. And Prabhupada says very strongly, and if he is unable to follow those instructions, he must not hesitate to uh, give up his life. He must, Prabhupada says, he must die along with the spiritual master. That means it's a very, very serious commitment between the disciple and the spiritual master. Hmm? It's not like an ordinary teacher and student in the school or college. A teacher in the school or college will come and cover the syllabus which is prescribed by the government or the university, and the teacher will clarify the doubts of the students. Teacher will prepare the students for the upcoming exams, and there ends the teacher's role. But the spiritual master is not like that. The spiritual master not only reveals the instructions, not only reveals about bhakti, but he also takes commitment that I shall take these surrendered disciples back home, back to Godhead. I will recommend these conditioned souls to Radha Krishna. So it's a very, 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 very important confidential service that the spiritual master does to Krishna. And he is ready to take us back to Godhead, provided we are serious, we are committed to his instructions. So that's a very important thing. So Shaunaka Rishi is asking, after Narad Muni left, speaking about all of those things, what did the powerful Vyasadeva do? What did he do? In the purport, Prabhupada is writing a very short summary of this chapter. Prabhupada says in this chapter, uh, there is a clue for Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, Maharaj Parikshit being saved uh, from the uh, from the Brahmastra that was released by Ashwathama when he was within the womb of his mother Uttara. That is described here, and in this chapter also, the sons of Pandavas, the Upa Pandavas, were killed when they were asleep by Ashwathama, and then Ashwathama was punished by Arjuna, and that's an interesting part of this chapter. We will see that. So let's see what happened next. Suta Goswami is replying to Shaunaka Rishi's question. Text 2. Suta Uvacha Brahmanadyam Saraswatyam Ashramah Paschime Tate Shamya Prasa iti Prokta Rishinam Satravardhanaha. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Sri Suta said, on the western bank of the river Saraswati, which is intimately related with the Vedas, there is a cottage for meditation at Shamya Prasa, which enlivens the transcendental activities of the sages. Purport. For spiritual advancement of knowledge, a suitable place and atmosphere are definitely required. The place on the western bank of the Saraswati is especially suitable for this purpose, and there is the ashrama of Vyāsadeva at Shamya Prasa. Srila Vyasadeva was a householder, yet his residential place is called an ashrama. An ashrama is a place where spiritual culture is always foremost. It does not matter whether the place belongs to a householder or a mendicant. The whole Varnashrama system is so designed that each and every status of life is called an ashrama. This means that spiritual culture is the common factor for all. The brahmacharis, the grihasthas, the vanaprasthas, and the sannyasis all belong to the same mission of life, namely realization of the Supreme. Therefore, none of them are less important as far as spiritual culture is concerned. The difference is a matter of formality on the strength of renunciation. The sannyasis are held in high estimation on the strength of practical renunciation. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Suda Goswami replied to Shaunaka Rishi's question, Brahma Nadyam Saraswatyam. So Saraswati river is known as Brahma Nadyam, the bank of the river Saraswati, which is intimately related with the Vedas, Brahmanas, saints, and the Lord. It is called Brahma Nadi. So Brahma refers to the supreme absolute truth, Brahman. Brahma also refers to the instructions of the Vedas. Brahma also refers to Brahmanas. So therefore, this river Saraswati is called Brahma Nadi because it has got intimate relationship with all these three, with the Vedas, with the Brahmanas, and with the Lord. So Saraswati river is said to be flowing even now, but it is called Gupta Gamini. Gupta Gamini means it is invisible. Much before, during about 5,000 years ago, the river Saraswati was flowing visibly, but right now it is Gupta Gamini. It is visible only in certain places, but most of the stream of the river flows invisibly. So when we go to this Prayagraj, where there is Triveni Sangama, we can only see the two visible rivers, that is Ganga and Yamuna. Ganga being a little brownish and Yamuna river being blackish. We can visibly see both these rivers, identify by these two colors. But Saraswati river we cannot see because it is Gupta Gamini. It is flowing. Uh, it is flowing invisibly. So therefore, it is Triveni. Veni means braid. So three rivers are joining. So there. So it is called Triveni. Even Govardhan Hill, if we see, when 5,000 years ago, when Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill, it was much, much massive and huge compared to what we see Govardhan today in Vrindavan. So, over a period of time, in fact, as Kali Yuga proceeds, several spiritually connected places, rivers, they will all become unmanifest. As Kali Yuga proceeds, people's sinful tendencies increase and these things become unmanifest. In fact, on this very planet, uh, when Lord Krishna was ruling Dwaraka 5,000 years ago, the residents of Dwaraka could actually see devatas walking on the streets of Dwaraka. They used to come regularly to have darshan of the Lord, to meet the Lord, to speak about their problems and miseries to the Supreme Lord. And the common people were able to see. But you see now in Kali Yuga, we are not able to see. Even though the devatas exist, we are not able to see. That means as Kali Yuga progresses, our ability to perceive spiritual reality comes down. And the main reason for this, Prabhupada mentions, is because of lack of proper samskaras. Samskaras are purificatory rituals that are recommended in the scriptures for human beings. Such samskaras are not, not at all followed, and therefore people become spiritually dull and dumb. In Kali Yuga, people think that material education itself is sufficient. So that is their short, you know, sightedness. In the previous yugas, no doubt material education was imparted because material skills are also needed for one to sustain in this world. But over and above that, mainly Brahma Vidya, the spiritual knowledge was imparted because it was considered that unless a person is spiritually educated, he is not fully educated. And that is why people of the other yugas were spiritually much elevated. They could easily understand the spiritual concepts presented in the Vedic scriptures. But today, we are very proud that we are materially very, very advanced, but we cannot understand even basic concepts of spiritual science presented in the Bhagavad Gita. That is the state of affairs in Kali Yuga. So here it is said, Saraswatyam Brahmanadyam. Saraswati is a holy river, sacred river, and it was flowing in the western part of the country. And Ashramaha Paschime Tataha. So on the western bank of river Saraswati, Vyasadeva's ashrama was situated. Pashchimaha means western, to the west, on the west. Ashrama, cottage for meditation. Actually, the word ashrama is very interesting. Prabhupada mentions in the purport that Srila Vyasadeva was a householder, yet his residential place is called an ashrama. Generally, our idea when we think about ashrama is some sadhus, sannyasis live in that place. So it is called ashrama. But not necessary. Any place where the residents have only one purpose of living, which is to take ashraya of Krishna. That place is called ashrama. The place which enables us to take ashraya, shelter of Krishna, that place is called ashrama. In other words, in the Vedic concept of society, according to the Varnashrama system, for all the four ashramas, they are known as ashramas. Not only sannyasa ashrama, brahmacharya ashrama, gruhastha ashrama, vanaprastha ashrama, and sannyasa ashrama. All the four phases of one's life, one has to take ashraya, shelter of Krishna. That is why each of these four phases of life, they are known as ashramas. That's very important to understand. So, in Brahmacharya ashrama, more importance is given to study of the scriptures, rendering service to the spiritual master, and thus gaining transcendental knowledge by the mercy of the spiritual master. And if one wants to get married after 25 years of completing the brahmacharya life, when a human being, when a man reaches 25 years old, he takes permission from the spiritual master and he enters the grihastha life. And that grihastha life is also meant for taking shelter of Krishna. Therefore, it is called grihastha ashrama. So in grihastha ashrama, emphasis is given for charity, which is a very important function of a grihastha, so that one does not accumulate more wealth than necessary, and one develops detachment. So charity is one of the main activities prescribed for grihastha ashrama. And when a human being reaches 50 years of his age, he hands over the responsibility of his family affairs to his grown up children, and he retires to the forest along with his wife to practice more austerities. So that is what the third ashrama, Vanaprastha ashrama, retiring to the forest. So in the Vanaprastha ashrama, emphasis is given on austerity. Charity is in Grihastha ashrama. in Brahmacharya Ashrama, Swadhyaya, study of the scriptures, and Seva, rendering service to the spiritual master. In Grihastha Ashrama, Dana, charity. In Vanaprastha Ashrama, it is performance of tapasya, so that one develops detachment, one stays away from material affairs. So when one becomes confident of his sense control, then after Vanaprastha, the man enters into sannyasa ashrama, and his wife goes back to the shelter of the grihastha ashrama again under the care and protection of her grown up sons, whereas the man enters sannyasa ashrama. So sannyasa is more focused on serving the Lord and enlightening others in the Krishna consciousness. Preaching is the main work for a sannyasi. So the Varnashrama system was organized in this way, four ashramas. In each of these ashramas, the central point is to take shelter of Krishna. So that is the point. So here, Prabhupada mentions that Vyasadeva was a householder, but he was staying in an ashrama because his intention was to take shelter of Krishna. That is the point. So this Vyasadeva's ashrama was situated on the western bank of Saraswati river. Tataha, tate means on the banks. And Samya Prasa iti prokta. Samya Prasa, the place of the place where Vyasadeva's ashrama was situated on the western banks of river Saraswati, that place was known as Samya Prasa. And the Shamya Prasa, it was, what is the speciality of this Shamya Prasa? Rishinam Satravardhanaha. This place was very, very spiritually suitable for the activities of the sages. Rishi means the sages. Satravardhanaha means that which enlivens the activities of the sages. It's a very important thing to note that the kind of place we live in has certain vibrations, and those vibrations affect our consciousness. Suppose you go to a place where animals are slaughtered, there will be one kind of vibration there. And seeing the blood stains there, seeing violence happening there, seeing the blood and flesh of the animals there is one kind of a consciousness impact that happens. That is called tamoguna. In fact, the butcher, because every day he keeps killing animals, he loses fine sentiments and feelings in his life, even towards others. He's because his stone has become hard-hearted. That is why Bhagavatam in many places says, if one is a animal killer, one cannot take up Krishna consciousness seriously. Because for taking up Krishna consciousness, one needs to develop loving feelings, feelings of love, surrender, and devotion, which are all very finer feelings towards the spiritual master and towards the Lord. One has to develop these finer feelings. But if one's heart is so hard and cruel and harsh, it's not suitable for developing bhakti. That is why one has to give up meat eating. In the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj says this. Only that person who is the killer of the self or the killer of animals, only such a person will not appreciate Krishna Katha. All others will appreciate. That means our heart becomes stone-hearted because of the influence of animal killing. And such places also where animal killing is practiced, it has very negative vibes. Or if you go to a marketplace, which is very busy, bustling with activities, so many people coming and going, noise, that has different kinds of vibes. If you are living in a, suppose you go to a mall, and if you have noticed in the mall, they play some very passionate music in the background. The passionate music makes you, first makes you feel good, and it also helps makes you think that, oh, very nice place it is, such a nice discount, such a nice offer it is there, offers are there, let me go and buy. It instigates desires, so you end up buying more than what you had planned. So these are all the effects of the place, the vibes of different places. Similarly, when you go to a holy dham, the place where the pure devotees render service to the Lord, the place where Krishna performed his leelas, Krishna is personally present there. So such holy dhams have a profound uplifting effect on our consciousness. So we can see the kind of, so Prabhupada is beginning the purport like this: for spiritual advancement of knowledge, a suitable place and atmosphere are definitely required. So it's important to to have a suitable place which is conducive for spiritual advancement. That is why we see the Goswamis of Vrindavan. They went to Vrindavan and they lived there and practiced devotional service. Because that Vrindavan, by default, anybody goes there, he can feel the spiritual vibes of that place, presence of Krishna in that place. And Prahlad Maharaj also instructs Hiranyakashipu, Vanam gato yad harimashrayeta. Oh, you have become a first class demon, my dear father. You're fully attached to Asat. So you're always in a state of anxiety. So my advice to you is, my dear father, please give up all this materialistic way of life. Go to Vrindavan and take shelter of Lord Hari. Prahlad Maharaj says this in the seventh canto of Bhagavatam to his demoniac father, Hiranyakashipu. So Prabhupada elsewhere says, to live in a slaughterhouse is mode of ignorance. To live in a city, which is populated, it is mode of passion. To live in a forest is mode of goodness, sattva guna. But to live in the temple of the Lord, that is Vishuddha Sattva, that is transcendental. Because Krishna is present there, his service is going on, his devotees are serving him, and his devotees are glorifying him. So there are spiritual vibes. It is as good as Vaikuntha. The temple is actually an embassy of Vaikuntha in the material world. So therefore, Prabhupada says to live in the temple of the Lord is actually Shuddha Sattva. It is not part of the material world at all. It is actually completely transcendental. So let us see what happened. So Vyasadeva was living on the banks of river Saraswati on its western banks. His ashrama was situated at a place called Shamya Prasa, and the speciality of this place is it was very conducive for the spiritual activities, and lot of sages were staying there. Let us go to the next verse, text 3. Tasmin swa ashrame vyaso badari shandamandite asinopa upasprushya pranidadhyau manasvayam. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: in that place, Srila Vyasadeva, in his own ashrama, which was surrounded by berry trees, sat down to meditate after touching water for purification. Purport: under the instructions of his spiritual master, Srila Narad Muni, Vyasadeva concentrated his mind in that transcendental place of meditation. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So, Tasmin Swa Ashrame, In that place, his own ashrama, Vyasadeva, which was Badari Shanda Mandite. The place was surrounded by Badari trees. Badari means berry trees. You know, it is Badrinath. Badrinath is also a temple in the Himalayas where Naranarayana rishis are still performing tapasya, and Lord Badri Narayana, Badri Vishal, the Lord is present there. And that place also got this name because of the Badri trees which are surrounding that place. Actually, Vyasadeva's hermitage is very close to that Badrinath, Badri Vishal, the place. So here also it is said, Badari Shanda Mandite, the place surrounding Vyasadeva's ashrama was filled with many berry trees. And Asina, Asinaha means he sat down. Apaha upasprishya, touching water. Apa means water. Upasprishya means to touch. Touching water means purifying oneself. Before doing any worship of the Lord, before doing any karma kanda rituals, be it uh, be it karma kanda rituals for one's material elevation, or be it rituals like shraddha and pitru karmas and all such things. First recommendation is the performer must take a bath, and then one should also do achamana. One should chant the holy names of the Lord. Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha. Like this, one must chant the names of God and sip water, touch water, because it is mentioned in the Garuda Purana that apavitra pavitrova sarvavastha gatopiva yasmaret pundarikaksham sabahya abhyantara shuchihi. Whether one is in an impure state of being, or whether one is in a pure state of being, or whether one has passed through all different stages of one's life, different conditions of life. If one somehow or the other remembers Pundarikaksha, the lotus eyed Lord Krishna, immediately Sabahya Abhyantara Shuchihi, he becomes cleansed both externally and internally. Simply by chanting, remembering Lord Krishna, one can become purified. This is what Garuda Purana says. Therefore, Apa Upasprishya means to touch water for purification along with chanting of the holy names of the Lord. So this is a very common practice. Even the devotees worshipping the deity, uh, they do this achaman without before commencing the arati, or before commencing the any kind of puja, worship of the Lord. So Vyasadeva also has done this. He sat down and apa upasprishya, he touched water for purification, and then pranidadhyau manaha swayam. Pranidadhyau means he concentrated manaha, the mind. So he concentrated his mind. That means he is sitting in meditation. He is contemplating deeply on what his spiritual master Narad Muni told him. Because Narad Muni has given an instruction very clearly, Narad Muni has given an order very clearly. So it is all the three Narad Muni gave. Sandesha, Upadesha, Adesha. All the three he has given. Now Vyasadeva has to now begin this great, his lifetime project of writing Bhagavatam. So before that he has to now contemplate, he has to think about it. Narad Muni has given the synopsis of Bhagavatam. Now how to expand it, all these things Vyasadeva has to think. So he's sitting down, concentrating his mind in that very special spiritual place of meditation. Let's go to the next verse, text 4. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite male apashyat purusham purnam mayam chatadapashrayam. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Thus he fixed his mind, perfectly engaging it by linking it in devotional service, bhakti yoga, without any tinge of materialism, And thus he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy, which was under full control. Purport. Very beautiful purport, Prabhupada writes. It's one of the very important verses of Bhagavatam. Perfect vision of the absolute truth is possible only by the linking process of devotional service. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. One can perfectly realize the absolute truth, personality of Godhead, only by the process of devotional service, and one can enter into the kingdom of God by such perfect knowledge. Imperfect realization of the absolute by the partial approach of the impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma does not permit anyone to enter into the kingdom of God. Sri Narada advised Srila Vyasadeva to become absorbed in transcendental meditation on the personality of Godhead and his activities. Srila Vyasadeva did not take notice of the effulgence of Brahman because that is not absolute vision. The absolute vision is the personality of Godhead as it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 19. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. In the Upanishads also it is confirmed that Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead, is covered by the golden glowing Hiranmayena Patrena, wheel of impersonal Brahman. And when that curtain is removed by mercy of the Lord, the real face of the Absolute is seen. The Absolute is mentioned here as the Purusha or person. The absolute personality of Godhead is mentioned in so many Vedic literatures. And in the Bhagavad Gita, the Purusha is confirmed as the eternal and original person. The absolute personality of Godhead is the perfect person. The Supreme Person has manifold energies, out of which the internal, external, and marginal energies are specifically important. The energy mentioned here is the external energy, as will be clear from the statements of her activities. The internal energy is there along with the absolute person, as the moonlight is there with the moon. The external energy is compared to darkness because it keeps the living entities in the darkness of ignorance. The word apashrayam suggests that this energy of the Lord is under full control. The internal potency or superior energy is also called Maya, but it is a spiritual Maya or energy exhibited in the absolute realm. When one is under the shelter of this internal potency, the darkness of material ignorance is at once dissipated. And even those who are Atma Rama or fixed in trance take shelter of this Maya or internal energy. Devotional service or bhakti yoga is the function of the internal energy. Thus, there is no place for the inferior energy or material energy, just as there is no place for darkness in the effulgence of spiritual light. Such internal energy is even superior to the spiritual bliss attainable in the conception of impersonal Brahman. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that the impersonal Brahman effulgence is also an emanation from the absolute personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. The Parama Purusha cannot be anyone except Sri Krishna himself, as will be explained in the later shlokas. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So, this is a very important verse. What Vyasadeva saw in his meditation, that is described here. In the previous chapter, we saw what Narad Muni saw in his meditation, and Narad Muni shared his realizations and instructions to Vyasadeva, and the very same thing that Narad Muni saw in his meditation was perceived by Vyasadeva in his meditation. That is interesting. That is the meaning of Parampara system. So here, Bhakti Yogena Manasi, Bhakti Yogena, by the linking up process of devotional service, Manasi, upon the mind, Samyak Pranihite Amale. Samyak means very nicely, perfectly. Pranihite means engaged in and fixed upon. Amale, without any matter. Mala means contamination, material contamination. Amala means being free from all kinds of material contamination. So now Vyasadeva sat down in meditation and he applied himself perfectly to the process of devotional service, which is nothing but linking a process with the Lord. So he fixed his mind in this bhakti yoga without any tinge of material contamination. Amale. So what did he see in that way? Apashyat means he saw Purusham Purnam. He saw Purusham Purnam. Purusham means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purnam means the Absolute. He saw the Absolute Supreme Personality of Godhead. Along with him, he also saw Mayam Chatad Apashrayam. He also saw Maya, his energy, which was fully under his control. This is what Vyasadeva saw. So Vyasadeva saw both in his meditation. He saw the Lord, Purusham Purnam, the absolute personality of Godhead. Side by side, he also saw the Maya, the energy of the Lord. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that the Maya which which Vyasadeva saw in his meditation is not Yoga Maya, but it is Mahamaya. It's the material energy. Why so? That we will come to know in the coming shlokas. Right? Yoga Maya has a kind of Yoga Maya has one kind of influence on the jiva. Mahamaya has another kind of influence on the jiva. Yoga Maya takes us towards Krishna. Mahamaya takes us away from Krishna. Now, which Maya we want to be under the influence of, that depends on our consciousness, our desires. If our desire is to enjoy materially, then we will be placed under the influence of Mahamaya. If our desire is to enjoy transcendentally in the service of Krishna, then we will be placed under the influence of Yogamaya. Right now we are under the influence of Mahamaya because most of the time we are forgetful of Krishna, and by executing devotional service, by developing a desire in the association of devotees to become a devotee, we are in the process of transferring ourselves from the influence of Mahamaya to the shelter of Yogamaya. So Prabhupada explains very nicely in the purport of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He says that Hare refers to the divine energy of the Lord, the internal energy of the Lord. That is Yogamaya, or that is actually Srimati Radharani, the divine energy of the Lord. She is the internal potency of the Lord. So we are appealing to Radharani, to Lord Krishna, to put us under their shelter, to accept us under their shelter, to engage us in their service. That is the meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So the whole process of Krishna consciousness is to free ourselves from the influence of Mahamaya and come under the shelter of Yogamaya, which is conducive for us to understand Krishna and also become purified and to be able to become one of the associates of the Lord in the spiritual world, just like Narad Muni. So, what is perfect vision? Prabhupada explains this. I will take another 10 minutes. Samyak pranihitaha. Samyak means perfect. So, Vyasadeva had perfect vision. This we have already seen in the previous chapter also, where Narad Muni also has said that you have Amogha Drishtaha. Amogha means perfect vision you have. Like this Narad Muni had told about Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva had perfect vision. So what is this perfect vision? Prabhupada begins the statement, opening sentence of the purport. Perfect vision of the absolute truth is possible only by the linking process of devotional service. So how do we get perfect vision? It is possible only when we engage in devotional service. Now, what about other processes, jnana or karma, yoga? Are they not perfect vision? No, they are not perfect vision because They will not enable us to perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Through other processes, uh, jnana and yoga, we will be able to only perceive the Brahman and Paramatma features of the Supreme Lord. And these are partial realizations of the absolute truth. If one wants complete realization of the absolute truth, that is Bhagavan realization, that is possible only by Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga gives us samyak drishti. It gives us perfect vision, complete vision. That is why Bhakti Yoga, Prabhupada said, is the topmost yoga. Krishna consciousness is the topmost yoga. And the topmost yoga contains, by practicing the topmost yoga, one gets the benefit of practicing the other lower forms of spiritual realizations also, processes also. Just like 10th standard mathematics, if we are conversant with 10th standard mathematics, it means that you also know to solve problems of 8th grade, 6th grade, 4th grade, and 3rd grade, isn't it? So that's why Krishna consciousness is the topmost yoga. That means we get Brahman, Bhagavan realization. That doesn't mean the devotee doesn't understand what is Brahman and Paramatma. Brahman and Paramatma realizations are also included in Bhagavan realization. So that's a very important thing. So, and Prabhupada says that one can perfectly realize the absolute truth, personality of Godhead only by the process of devotional service, and one can enter into the kingdom of God by such perfect knowledge. Once a reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, "You're all chanting Hare Krishna. Nice, you're all saying Krishna, Krishna. What will happen to you and all your disciples after this life?" So Prabhupada boldly replied. He said, "We know who God is, we know his name, we know his address, and all of my disciples are going back to Godhead at the end of this life. We are all going back to God." So the confidence and the boldness of Srila Prabhupada, that can be had only when one has perfect knowledge and realization of that knowledge. Prabhupada did not have to think for a while, oh, now reporter is asking this question, where will all my disciples go? Oh, what answer should I tell? I should tell some answer to impress the readers of the newspaper when they write the article. This was all not going on in Prabhupada's mind. So Prabhupada said, all of us are going back home. We know who is God. We know his name. We know his address. So we are going back to him. So this is called perfect knowledge. There is no perhaps, maybe, there is no such things. We are all going back to Godhead. That's all Srila Prabhupada said. So this is important, right? This complete realization, samyak drishti, comes when one sincerely adheres to the instructions given by the spiritual master, however difficult it might be, and one endeavors. Krishna helps those who help themselves. God helps those who help themselves. What is the help that we can do to ourselves? Yes, we know we are not perfectly situated in Krishna consciousness yet. Still, our minds are wavering. Still, our minds get attracted, pulled towards so many distractions of this material world. So it's a struggle. But we should not think, oh, I was better off before coming to Krishna consciousness. I did not have such a big struggle. Life was so smooth. After coming to Krishna consciousness, so many struggles have come. Maybe I should give it up. It's not my cup of tea. People may think like that. But actually, one should not think like that. If we are sincerely endeavoring with all sincerity, if we are endeavoring seriously to follow what Srila Prabhupada is saying, Krishna will help us. There is no doubt about it. Krishna will help. Actually, in Bhakti Yoga, it's not on our own strength that we can attain perfection. All that we can do is to desire strongly and to put sincere endeavors to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. At every stage, it is the mercy of Guru and Krishna which actually help us push us towards the next step, towards the next stage. This is a realization that all of us can get when we are practicing Krishna consciousness. It's not that we know so much and I'm so strong in controlling my senses. Therefore, I will be able to keep away from all the distractions offered by Maya. And on my own strength, I will go back to Godhead. No, that's not the idea at all. That's not at all that should not be the thinking of a sadhaka. I will seriously endeavor. I will not leave any stone unturned. I'll put my best efforts to follow every instruction that Srila Prabhupada has given. But while doing this, I will depend on the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya. O spiritual master, please give a drop of your mercy. Because without your mercy, I cannot actually follow the instructions. Ekaki Amara Nahi Paya Bala Harinama Sankirtane. Alone, I have no strength to chant the holy names. I have no strength. So I need the association of devotees. I need the mercy of devotees. I need the mercy of the Lord. You know, a disciple is made up of the mercy particles of the spiritual master. The mercy of the spiritual master is what actually empowers the disciple to go to the next stage of realization or next stage of advancement. So, mercy is very important. So, we should always beg for mercy. But of course, we should put our efforts also. We cannot simply say, let everything the Lord only do. Let the Lord only take me back to Godhead. He's saying that He wants me to go back to Godhead. So let Him only do. No, but we have to indicate to the Lord how serious we are in going back to Godhead. For that, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, we have to intensely perform devotional service. We have to put serious endeavors. So, another point that is mentioned here is Vyasadeva did not see Brahman in his meditation, but he saw Bhagavan. That is the meaning of Samyak Pranihitaha, Samyak Drishti. So, Prabhupada mentions here, very interestingly, yeah, Srila Vyasadeva did not take notice of the effulgence of Brahman because that is not absolute vision. The absolute vision is the personality of Godhead as it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Right? So the absolute vision means to perceive the personality of Godhead, to enter into a loving relationship with Him. That is the perfection that Bhagavatam is offering to us. Right? So Prabhupada is quoting in the Upanishads, it is said, this is there in the Ishopanishad. Hiranmayena Patrena. It is a devotee is praying to the Lord, O Lord, your glowing effulgence is covering your face. I'm not able to see you. Kindly take away this glowing effulgence so that I can see your beautiful face. That means a devotee is not interested in Brahma Jyoti. He wants a personal relationship with the Lord. He wants to deal with the personality of God. So that is the meaning here. And that is possible by practicing Bhakti Yoga. That's why Bhakti Yoga is the topmost yoga. Another point that Prabhupada mentions, one last point, the word apashrayam suggests that this energy of the Lord is under full control. However powerful the energy, the external energy may be, external energy can bewilder all the living entities in this material world, including Brahma. But that external energy is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The external energy of the Lord cannot bewilder the Lord Himself. No. The external energy is apashraya. It is under the shelter of the Lord, under the control of the Lord. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi, Krishna says. This prakriti, material nature, is working under my superintendence. Right? So, If we surrender to Krishna, as Krishna promises, that Daivi Hesha Gudamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mamevaye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. Krishna says this divine energy of mine, this Trigunatmika Shakti, Maya, is very, very powerful. It is insurmountable. But if you surrender to me, if you render service to me, then you will easily, by my grace, you can overcome the influence of Maya. So, therefore, Bhakti Yoga is the process by which we take shelter of Krishna, and by that shelter, we can become free from the influence of Maya. So, we will continue to read tomorrow and discuss more. Any questions or any comments anybody has?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, I had
Hare
one
Krishna.
question. Yeah, I have
Yes.
posted it in the comment. Uh,
Okay,
Actually,
let me
see,
read that.
he's yeah.
You want to, shall I read or you want to?
Okay, I am only telling. So, Prabhu, day
Okay.
before yesterday, you said you compared between Ajamila,
Hmm.
Shukdev Goswami, and Narad Muni, and you said
Yes.
that Narad Muni's Prem Drishti, that was the best. However,
Yeah.
there are many devotees in ISKCON also I have heard. They say that Shukdev Goswami was the greatest devotee. Look, even when he started delivering the message of Bhagavatam, even Narad Muni also started listening to his lecture, means
Yeah.
his pravachan. So this clearly proves that nobody is actually greater than Shukdev Goswami, eventually, isn't it? So how can we say that? Means you said that day that Narad Muni was the more unique. His way of vision was the unique because he was like he has 100% success rate in converting to devotee. But here the other devotees say that nobody was eventually greater than Sukhdev Goswami because he could deliver Bhagavatam, which all the sages, including Narad Muni, heard. So how can we reconcile these 2 points? So who was greater between
Okay.
them, Narad Muni or Sukhdev Goswami?
No, there is no such comparison or there is no such competition. What I was telling you the other day, I gave this three case studies of Ajamila, Shukadev Goswami, and Narad Muni. I said Ajamila's was Kamadrishti. When he saw the prostitute, he got affected by lusty desires, and therefore it is Kamadrishti. Shukadev Goswami, as soon as he took birth, he walked into the forest and he came across uh, young women who were taking bath
বৃষ্টি
without
থেমে গেছে
covering their
বৃষ্টি থেমে
bodies.
গেছে খেয়াল করি
So that time, Shukadev Goswami just walked away. He was not at all he was not at all disturbed because his drishti was jnana drishti. And then Narad Muni, when he saw the sons of Kuvera, and also he saw them in a naked condition, I said it is prema drishti. He wanted to bring them also in contact with Krishna. So this incident, when Shukadev Goswami, I said it is jnana drishti. That is before he heard Srimad Bhagavatam from his learned father Vyāsadeva. So before he heard Bhagavatam, he was a monist. He was an impersonalist. Shukadev Goswami was liberated by birth. This we have discussed many times before also. So he walked away from, he was not at all disturbed at seeing the naked women taking bath in the pond in the forest. He, he simply walked away. He had a neutral vision. He was neither attracted nor repelled, is what I said. So before he heard Bhagavatam, he had he was already liberated. So that is Jnana Drishti, which I was talking about. However, after he heard Bhagavatam from Vyasadeva, Shukadev Goswami became a pure devotee of the Lord. He got attracted to the devotional service to the Lord. That is why in this chapter, I think in the next chapter it comes. Atma Rama, the verse. Atma Rama, this Shukadev Goswami was Atma Rama, means he was self satisfied. But after hearing Bhagavatam, the wonderful activities, qualities of Krishna, he also got attracted to Krishna. He became a pure devotee. And then he spoke the Bhagavatam. And when Shukadeva Goswami was speaking Bhagavatam, yes, Narad Muni was present, Vyasadeva was also present. It was Vyasadeva only who spoke Bhagavatam, isn't it? To Shukadeva Goswami. But Shukadeva Goswami, when he spoke Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva was also sitting because wherever the Bhagavatam is spoken, the pure devotees they take pleasure in hearing Bhagavatam. So it is not a matter of comparison. Oh, who is great? Who is more realized? That is not how we should see it. In fact, we should see even Narad Muni, who heard Bhagavatam previously directly from Lord Brahma, he is also coming and sitting and hearing because he is setting an example that whenever Bhagavatam is spoken, a devotee should pay attention and hear. That is the principle there. So, hope that answers your question.
Yes,
So,
Prabhu.
yeah, thank you. So, thank you very much for your valuable time. Tomorrow is Balaram Jayanti, Balaram Purnima, the appearance day of Lord Balaram, who is the elder brother of Krishna. And it is Balaram who gives us spiritual strength. So, tomorrow it is recommended to observe fasting till 12 noon. And in the honor of Lord Balaram, let us pray to Lord Balaram to give us spiritual strength so that we can seriously practice Krishna consciousness. Thank you very
Hare
much.
Prabhu. Prabhu, I had asked one
Yes.
question in the chat. Actually, this Yoga Maya and Mahamaya, are they expansions of Mother Parvati?
No,
They're not.
that is not the way. No.
Okay.
Both Yogamaya and Mahamaya are energies of Krishna.
Oh, okay.
And
So they are not expansions.
Parvati
Ah,
Devi is Mahamaya.
okay.
Okay. So
Parvati Devi is
Yogamaya
Mahamaya.
is different. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
We can discuss maybe in detail some other time about this.
Okay, Prabhu.
Thank you very
Okay.
much. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय विश्व गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.